Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to the Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Fundraising Committee meeting this June 12th. I'd like to call the meeting to order and get started with approving the agenda. Is there anything on the agenda we want to add or change?
Just you and I can vote. I'll move.
Nothing to change. So can I have a mover and seconder to approve the agenda? Jamie, Sarah, all in favor? That's carried. Let's have a look at the minutes now. Our last meeting was May 15th. Any errors or omissions? Very good job on the, by the way. It's very useful. It's like, oh yeah, I promised to do this and that. I better get to it, right? So thank you very much for those. Are they all in order? I'm not hearing or seeing any movement otherwise. So ask for a mover and seconder to adopt the minutes. Jim and Jamie, all in favor? Thank you. That's carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll note that. We don't have any presentations today or delegations, so we're ready to go into reports. And our monthly donation update from our treasurer, director of financial services, Jennifer. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you to the council or to the committee. The last report that we brought forward was on May the 12th, and that showed an expense, total funds raised after expenses was $314,386. And as of June 12th, 2023, the amount of funds raised after expenses totals $318,931. With the overall fundraising total increasing by $4,545 since the last monthly report. Most of this was from cash and checks that we received in finance. On the second page, the total for the year for 2023 shows that approximately 56,000 expected and 2,400 spent, so approximately 54,000 towards the campaign so far. That brings the total overall in-year fundraising at 23% of the total in-year amount of 245,000, and the overall fundraising amount is 62% raised at this point. So at this time, there are no other things to bring forward, other than I did neglect to say that we set Sarah Leach up as the treasurer, so she now does have access in Laserfish. So once we have tested her, we'll close that ticket, but until then, you can just let us know if she has any issues accessing the system. And then if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
And just to be clear, we're not testing you, Sarah. We're just testing the
Testing you in the system.
In the system.
Yeah, well.
Great. Thank you for this report, Jennifer. Any questions or comments? I did want to clarify, just if you can refresh my memory, Jennifer, on the expenses. Are they, I know you had spread them over the 3 years, and they are actually invoiced, right?
Yes, they are all
So those
paid in
amounts
full,
are,
yes.
are actuals.
Yes, and we just took the amount and spread it over the 3 years.
Perfect. Okay.
The ones in blue are just reallocated. The ones in red are estimates, so they have not been received yet.
Right.
So the ones that we have as pledges
For
are
the, on the
pending.
donation
Yeah.
side. Yes. Okay. Nice to see a little bit of movement.
Yes.
Since last month. Any questions or comments? Good.
Madam Chair.
No. Yes.
If
Madam Treasurer.
is it possible to have like a snapshot so we can post it to like media so that people can see where we're at and see how much more we need to get. So we get some momentum going that way as well.
Mhm. Wonder what we could do. I know, so Jessica, who looks after our website, whenever we send her an update, she updates the amount, and there's a heart on the website that's sort of partially filled. And so
So it-
we could get a snapshot of that every once in a while and
Yeah.
put that as a post
Yeah.
on social
Yeah,
media.
that would be helpful to kind of stimulate to the
Yeah.
forefront and just
Yeah.
every so often, hey,
Yeah,
here we are.
and then, you know, the little, the heart getting warmer and warmer every month. Great suggestion. And instead of just posting the events, the progress.
Everybody likes to see progress.
Yes. Great, great suggestion. Any other questions or comments? Doesn't look like it. So thank you again, Jennifer. Can I have a mover and seconder to receive the report? Sarah, Jamie, all in favor? And that's carried. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, so next we can go to 6.2. So just a check in, a little update on the results and learning from what we have done so far in May and June. So in May, we attended, that was our first event, the animal display. Jamie, you spent a little bit of time, and Wendy, I think, and myself. Thoughts and comments?
I spoke to a lot of people that had no idea about the campaign and that were interested in it. So hopefully they will go home and look at it. So there was a lot of people there. I think for future that it's a pretty good venue to have representation at. I don't know how you guys feel, but it was pretty busy when I was there, so.
It was steady, yes, I think. Wendy, you were there on the Sunday, is that right? Or did I
That
get
was
back?
Sunday.
That you were Sunday and Wendy was Saturday, yeah?
It was, like Jamie said, it was quite busy, especially with children. And where we were located, we had lots of children, maybe not so many packages, but lots of children. Not a lot of donations the day that I was there. But certainly talking to people, it was hard to bring them in because the location was such that the bouncy castles were by us and parents were chasing shoes and children. So
And I didn't find that to be a problem. I actually took it as an advantage when as soon as someone made eye contact,
Yeah.
I was on them and allowed them to keep looking at the bouncy castle and watching their children as I explained things. So I found that I spoke to many, many people that day, so. But I mean, I don't stay at the booth. I kind of walk away from it and talk to people where they are. So I find that that's very helpful.
Mhm.
And then I found that the seal and the cat drew some of the children towards the table, and then the parents came along with them. So that was a good opportunity as well.
Mhm. Definitely an attraction. So that was good. Yeah, no, it's good what we said from the beginning, these events are definitely about awareness raising.
And we have a potential board member from it as well. So
Right, so they can be recruitment
Yeah,
mechanisms as
yeah.
well, for the committee, for sure. That's right. Wendy?
I would say I was at Edison Fest all day, and it was a really, really busy day as well. So both venues were certainly filled with children. And Jamie's right in terms of there's little time to sit, I found, especially with the Edison Fest. It was don't remember sitting long in the chair at all. I've tended to be out front. Plus I was chasing things because it was one of the windiest days. So we were chasing paper. But one thing I think I shared, but in observation, people engaged, some would just look at you and keep on going. But I found that people engaged well, but the most common comment I heard was, I'm not ready for that yet. And which I mean, they were young and that was okay. I did have one that I redirected to a home and community care and did some conversation with them. But certainly in terms of money makers, they're not bringing a lot in that way. But and education, if we look at the number of, and I'm referring mostly to Edison Fest, so I won't even address the other, Jamie, because I know you're probably better. That was your area, that you know people. But I found in Edison Fest, there were so many children that were so busy that I had the luxury of having a bit of the library packages there because the library was unable to attend. So I gave out the packages and they came in hordes. The numbers of children were just en masse. And I also bribed them with candy and bubbles. But I don't know, in terms of a fundraiser, I wouldn't see it as a fundraiser, but I would see it as an educational promotion. So that's just a comment of my own.
Welcome, everyone else. We're just debriefing our attendance at a couple of events in May. So we're sharing our experiences. So yeah, so lots of engagement with the display itself, and whether it's the kits or then being beside the library and having additional giveaway there. So yeah, I think that's something, now that we've done almost a year of different events, I think that's something I would like the committee to consider, is the number of hours that go into an event. So imagine if you spend at least half a day, so let's say 4 hours of your time plus you're driving, and so far we have not generated, like those events have not materialized into actual donations or follow-ups. So those are my two questions for the committee. So one is, so imagine if you took the same 4 hours plus driving, of your time, and what else could you do with those 4 hours? Being on the phone or writing letters, which we know from our previous experiences that those require, it's usually like at least 3 times, right? So if you drop off a letter, you follow up with a phone call, and then you follow up with a second phone call, and then perhaps organize something. So I'm wondering, next on the agenda, we will be looking at other events to attend. And I'm wondering if we maybe rebalance that a little bit, being conscious of all committee members' time, to say, if you're available and you maybe say, oh, I could go to this event for half a day. Could you take that half a day and use it differently, because like I said, we know that either we don't make money with the events or they actually cost us money because we are, giving away material. So Wendy and then Jim.
I just wanted to say too, I wanted to bring it to people's attention just because I would never have, so I know that Dominique has set up the displays historically since this began last year or whenever. But I want to say I did set the one up at Edison, other than entertaining a lot of people and getting help from people as I tried to set it up. It's an extremely cumbersome deal, setting that tent up. And I agree in the sense that it takes a lot of time to get things together. It's heavy. And I admire you, Dominique, for all that you've done thus far. And I share that educational piece with everybody in terms of the amount of time and the struggling that I underwent setting it up with help.
Yeah, and Jamie, I think, has put together I think the
Taking
most
it down, yep.
taking it down. Yeah, it can be entertaining for those watching. But yeah, Jamie, I think Jim, I don't know if you had the tent as well, but yeah, it's an effort. We have to realize that, yes.
Yeah, the one event that I think we did make an impact at was the Elmer Fair,
Mhm,
because of how close it is to Terrace Lodge.
right, yes.
And
Yeah.
if we're situated, people were coming through and looking at various things. They weren't there for an event and running by, but they were there
Right.
to walk through it. I think that should continue as it was.
Yes. Thinking of that. Any other comments? Just looking at the agenda and yeah, list of events. We'll look at, so we'll come back to this at 7.1. But for now, so we did try Pero or Steel for the first time. So it seems to be attracting quite a bit of yeah, it draws attention for sure. It is I think Jamie and Wendy, you can attest. So we're being mindful with the hand washing and when there are a lot of children, so that that alone can keep you really busy. But it is another big piece. So moving forward, assuming we probably will attend a couple more events, is that something you would recommend we keep in the kit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it's possible, yes.
Michelle or Ashley, is it possible do we need to bring it back to Terrace Lodge in between, or are we okay to sort of keep it with our kit for the moment?
I think you're okay to hang on to it. We'll confirm with our staff that usually use it and make sure they're not missing it too much. But I think at this point, you guys are probably okay to hang on to it for a little bit.
Okay. It's not too far, and I have to make sure it needs to be charged. I think it has a charger, so. Okay, well, I'm not too far from Terrace Lodge, so, and it's Pero is resting at my place, so if you need to visit at Terrace Lodge, let me know. That's not a problem. We've done some displays with the laptop, without the laptop, depending if we had it. We know we can run it a whole day. We can run the laptop without power. So even if we don't have access to hydros, do you recommend we keep that as well? That was one addition to the kit.
I would just say that it was probably good, but I didn't have all the instructions on how to turn it on. So it wasn't until Dominique came and turned it on for me. And I think in the morning, Wendy and I were trying to turn it on and we couldn't. So just make sure that all the instructions are there.
Yes. Yes, to be fair, when I tried, there's something tricky about changing the server domain name. So it was nothing, it's only because I spent a half hour the day before figuring out that I was so quick to recognize, like, I know what's going on. It's just so we could add that in the instruction. It depends on whatever domain comes up first. And if it's not the right one, you have to switch it. So assuming logging in works fine, then you recommend keeping that
Yes.
as part of the kit. Yeah.
It's just that when we're outside, we just need to try to turn it so that the sun's not shining on the screen. Because when the sun is shining on the screen, you can't really see it. But I'm
Right.
sure that if you had it somewhere where the sun's not shining, then it would be a great tool.
Yeah.
Like at the fair, we're inside, so it wouldn't be glaring.
Yes. So the Aylmer Fair, there's probably, we can double check. I don't know if we've officially registered, and I don't think we've officially decided which events we were going to do for August. But there's probably a chance of having hydro, at which point we can bring a bigger monitor as well. So great. So that helps with ease of viewing.
And just from my experience with the Rosie Rhubarb, never being able to connect with someone and then finding out they had full spaces, I would say sooner is better, especially.
Yeah. Yes. So we'll decide today for
Yeah.
sure, and then sort of finalize the list for the
Yeah.
rest of the year.
It was
Yeah.
a lot of calls and emails and bounce back emails and yeah, so and then they just didn't have space.
Yeah.
But had we been a month earlier, perhaps.
Perhaps,
Yeah.
okay.
So if we're thinking of shed and fair, I would get it on it now. If we
Okay,
continue that, then I would make this call, I'll make those calls now.
book early. Yeah, we should try to finalize the list today for rest of this season of the event season. So as far as debriefing then, anything else to change to the booth or to the materials? The one thing I was just thinking is there a way you think, or maybe worth trying to get contact information? I know in other booths, often it's easy if there's a draw for something.
Yep, they have a little draw and then they have the contact information.
Contact information, then you can turn the contact information to outreach. Because I'm trying to think of all the conversations we're having, and they're sometimes like a follow-up would be really, really good. We're not allowed to do a draw, I think, from our research, because I think that's considered a lottery. And yeah, so I think based on last year's research, any suggestions that could we just invite people to sign up for updates on the progress of?
Oh,
the
that would work.
campaign?
Yes,
At least have a sign up sheet, so just.
yes. If you would like continued information on how things are going, yeah.
Leave us your email address, and then that, at least that could be, we could do a little bit of a follow-up on those conversations. So maybe that's something we can add, just a sign up sheet, like a kind of newsletter. Okay. My other thought was, I don't know if it's worth it at all. Was for the coloring kit. Should we invite a little donation, like a toonie, a kit for a toonie, or donate what you can, kind of, like, would you like this coloring kit? We'll accept donations. Like, I know right now we're using the kit more as a draw for the conversation, which I'm perfectly fine. Like, that went into last year's budget anyway. So, but I'm just interested in your thoughts on trying to generate just at least, a little bit of the, like a bit more of an ask, like a bit more of an action at the booth, and even encouraging the children to put in the ones who are interested in a coloring kit to put in a little toonie. I don't know. Sarah?
Could there be like a donation box on the table? Like not,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
it's already.
yeah. Yep. Yep.
It's very hollow.
Yes. Any thoughts?
Is it clear?
Yeah. Is it clear? Maybe not. Yes, Amaryllis, and then Wendy,
Is the box clear?
like donations here with a big flashing.
Well,
sign.
no, but if it's clear and people see money, they will put money. It's clear.
Yeah, and we always put in a little money in it. To start,
I know
like the
that
tip
feeling.
jar.
But when we set up, I don't think I've ever had it set up where the coloring books were next to the donation box.
Yeah, no, I mean.
And that could make a difference.
Yeah, because I've typically, like, I've gone out with people who were walking away from the table, and there were children, like I would, walk towards the children and then engage with the parents in the conversation, and here's the kit, and here's, drop it off at the library, and then the conversation, it's definitely a conversation starter, which I'm perfectly fine. If the committee wishes to leave it at that, just trying to see if there's something we can tweak a little bit to to materialize those conversations into a donation or further interest. Wendy.
Oh, sorry. The one concern I would have, I had a little boy give me a loonie, which broke my heart because he brought his brothers up to the table and he said, the boys and I want to give you this. And he was just a little man, which they had gone and bought their pop and had this loonie. So I received it from them. But many of the children, they come so often on their own at these events without the parents around. They're probably in the background. And I have such guilt and concern asking them for money because sometimes they don't look like they can maybe afford it either. And it's so nice to be able to have a conversation with them and just give it to them for the 4 of them if there's one package.
Yeah. 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 So happy to, why don't we try then just a sign up sheet and so we keep the
I like that idea.
yeah. And the new kits, what I've done, you may have seen, so I didn't put the bookmarks in the kit so that we could use that separately so that if you need to, so the bookmark or the the fridge magnet can be both the conversation piece and then generate the sign up. Like, here's a bookmark if you want to keep track. And if you give us your name, we can send you updates. So keep that in mind that way we stretch our material a little bit more. And then depending on how, the age of whoever's there, we can use either the coloring kit or the bookmark or the fridge magnet. Okay. So we'll try the sign up sheet and that's done.
Thank you. As you were talking about the pictures earlier, and then the story you just provided about the young child that wanted to make a donation, that to me is extraordinarily compelling. Like if you had a story written up that you're placing beside that heart that's going to be filled up, I just think that's a great story. It's like that kid that doesn't have a lot is giving in, and I just, obviously you have to be protecting of the child's identity. There has to be like a parental permission, but if the children's parents are there and there was an opportunity to say, can we have your permission to share that? I just think that's, it goes some distance to having people say, that child can give, I can give too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's great. And thank you for the pictures, by the way, that last time we reminded ourselves that when we're out at events, we need to remember to take pictures. And so far we have some good pictures already from the 2 events. Yeah, great idea. So I think further promoting, and even when we're at the events, we can send messages to Jessica and then she can post on the Elgin County site or the Facebook or Instagram. Great. So action shots we can add. Okay, so good learning from these items. I don't think we need any resolution for 6.2. Any other comments on this update? If not, we can go to 6.3. So you saw the annual report was added to the package, so we did get it completed just shortly after the last meeting. And so thank you for having a look and for the feedback. So it is posted on the donation on the terracelodge.ca, donate to terracelodge.ca website. And we'll mention in 7.2, all the thank you cards went out as well for the 2022 donors, along with the little flyer that had a link directly to the annual report. So any comments on the annual report or questions?
Or Wendy.
Wendy.
I just wanted to say that the report is really, really well done. It's easy to read, easy to follow, really easily understood, and it's just well done. Thank you.
So we should probably add a copy of it at the booth. Wonder we probably need to put it in, I don't know, in a binder, like in a or I'm trying
Behind it.
or bind it, yeah. Yeah, like on maybe it's not very long, like we do like a cardstock or something, like something a little, because at the table it may not last very long, but yeah. Yeah, I think that would be great. Yeah, let's add that to the kit. I was thinking, we do have the list of donors from 2021. So they had received the 21 annual report. Should we send it to the first year donors? So we can send it to the same email list, okay? Can probably do a social media post as well, so that would kind of fit in with that progress, and then we can. Great. Yes, and thank you to staff. I think probably Stephanie, Jenna, and Jessica with the layout and the pictures, and Ashley and Michelle for the content editing, making sure it was all accurate. So great job. It does look great and feels good to look back. Anything else on the annual report? So want to make sure everybody has a copy. So maybe as we were talking before the meeting, if you're approaching a donor, it's good to have a copy handy, and or something you can email and say you can see, you know, if you want to read more about the campaign. So I think was the final, I don't think, well, now it is in the package, but maybe,
Send it separately.
yeah. So let's do that so that everybody will have a separate PDF that if you want to print or email to anyone as a standalone document. And it should probably go to council. Yeah. Great minds think alike. So, yeah, so we had postponed our, because we are supposed to do a report to council. So yeah, so next meeting, probably not this Tuesday, but the next meeting. Perfect. So we'll do our official report to council. Wonderful.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So could a copy go to all municipalities in Elgin County?
Oh. All councils?
All councils?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they all have a vested interest in.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for that.
It's a really good idea.
And with the little note, a cover page for anytime, if you'd like to join
Yes.
this committee.
Instead
Come
of
on.
doing this, you give them actually,
That's
what I'm
right.
sitting in the meeting going,
Yes. Great.
Yes, the more people who are aware, the better it will.
well, the more conversation they can have about it, because I heard,
Informed conversation.
right.
Yes. Okay. Anything else on the annual report then? Yeah. Now that this great work is done, might as well utilize it in every possible way.
Share broadly.
Yes, exactly. Broadly and often. Jenna, do you need a resolution to receive the report? Would you, is that?
I was going to suggest maybe a resolution that the report be forwarded to county council and to the local municipal
Nice.
partner councils for information.
Yes, perfect. Everybody get that resolution? So may I have a mover and seconders that the report be forwarded to county council and local municipal partners? So moved by Sarah, seconded by Amaryllis. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Jenna. Everyone. Okay, so back to a little bit of brainstorming for our fundraising strategies. I think it was Jamie who reached out to me for possibly a letter that would be worded specifically for a second time donor. Is that right, Jamie? That was your suggestion?
Yep.
So happy to take one of the existing letters and then tweak that. Any suggestions on what do you think would make it compelling? Any thoughts on?
Well,
we can attach the annual report.
yeah, yes,
Jamie?
the annual report, but also thanking them for their generosity and understanding that they have contributed already. And we're getting closer to our end goal, and we would appreciate it so much if they would donate again.
Right,
Or share the package with others who may be interested.
right.
Oh, I would say not or, and.
And
It's still your idea.
Yes, and yeah, even challenge, encourage others.
Yes, we could even do that,
Yeah.
Thank them for their generosity. Thank them, ask them if they would be willing to donate again. Ask them if they would put out a corporate challenge to other businesses to support. And do you need each of us to do that, or could it go out to the pre-existing ones on its own? Do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
to the larger, like the corporations that have donated, can it just automatically go out to them, or do we need to do it individually?
Morales?
But there are specific ones that we have maybe specific relationships with
Mhm.
that I can think of a couple in particular. That I would think that we might want to do the reach out rather than,
Okay, that's fine.
but for the most part, probably it would work, but I'm thinking of some, and you probably can.
Yeah.
You could all
maybe a couple.
probably think of one or two that you would want to make that connection.
Yeah.
I think that have a personal ask is always more powerful than a blanket statement.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're sending it directly to them with that personal ask, it has more power than if you send it like ECC or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So why don't we, when we get to our closed portion, if we wanted to strategize, we could revisit, yeah, the sort of who can contact whom based on yeah, those relationships from year one, year two. Yeah. Because certainly in the thank you cards, both last year and this year, there is that appeal. So indirect appeal of, we're almost there. You can contribute again, but I think then the follow-up to, one-on-one would be great. So good idea. So we'll continue that conversation under 11.1. So we're kind of halfway through the year. So we know we've got letters. We have letters in mind. We have, oh, did I skip 7.1? Oh, I don't know why I went to 8.1. Okay, let me go back to 7.1, driving Jenna crazy. Because that will go hand in hand with the fundraising strategy. So as far as events, so we do have a list of what is available. We want to be mindful of where our time goes, because I certainly want each of us to be mindful that if I have 4 hours to give, if I have 8 hours to give, maybe I split my time in 4 hours with, very specific targeted outreach, and maybe 4 hours at an event. So keeping that in mind, looking at some of the events that are coming up and what would be most strategic. Was there anything coming up in July? Or I guess, yeah, end of June. Is there anything, just scrolling down the list? So, yes, so there is actually Springfield Family Fun Day. So we are signed up for that one. So we do have a table there. I'm happy to do, so it's just one day. So I'm happy to, I have all the stuff currently. So I'm happy to do the first half of the day. Is anyone available for the second half? And I'm happy to take the kit afterwards.
What's the date?
This is this Saturday, the 17th. And I think it's until 5 o'clock, like 9 to 5 or maybe 8. There's a breakfast
Yeah.
fairly early.
The optimist.
The optimists running the breakfast. Anyone available for the afternoon for a little bit? Is that Wendy?
I can help you for the afternoon. I think it's Father's Day too, I think, isn't it?
On the Sunday, yes.
Oh,
So
it's the Sunday?
yeah, so this event is on the Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can help you.
Great. Yeah, and like I said, I can do a good chunk of that day. So, and Wendy, we can connect as far as, what time you're available to come and provide some relief.
And I was going to say that if there's a breakfast in the morning, then you get a lot of adults for the breakfast that you wouldn't have later in the day with the children. So it might be good to be there in time for breakfast. I don't know what time the breakfast starts.
8:30.
8:30, yeah. I think I want to set up for 8 o'clock. I think they're asking all the vendors anyway to be all set up, and from previous years, what tends to happen is people exit the breakfast and then they walk through all the vendors. It's almost like part of as you exit. So I'm hoping for that, but I'm also thinking of being inside, like at 8:30, when people are in line to pay for the breakfast, is handing out bookmarks and then say, come and see us at the booth. So yeah, that should work. That should work out well. And yeah, I think that one will be a key event, similar to the Elmer Fair, because it's close, and then Terrace Lodge is a little bit more well-known. Good. Okay, so we got that one down. Was there anything else? I don't think there's anything else in June. Was there anything else in July? Looking, we had Nostalgia Nights car show in St. Thomas. There's the Positively Elgin Dog Festival at the Springwater Conservation. And then we get into the Elmer Festival Fair, sorry. Thoughts on July, or do we just, again, stay close to home and make the next event the Elmer Fair? Elmer Fair is. Yeah, the dates, Jenna.
August 11th.
11th through the 13th.
13, yes. Yeah, there are a number of events that same weekend, but I think that's our best investment.
The historical show would get the age group thinking about next month's.
Is that the
That's the same week.
it's the same weekend?
Kids are a good group to hit because they always take their parents wherever they see something interesting, but families don't tend to have a lot of disposable income to think about spending on something that seems a long way off.
Yeah. Well, so where is the historical? I mean, we could split. We don't have to be at the Elmer Festival in this fair for 3 days.
Dan Patterson, so
Yeah.
off of Highbury, north of St. Thomas.
Oh, right. What are your thoughts? And is the festival the whole weekend?
Fair, yes.
Both.
Fair's the whole weekend, and then the historical. I'm scrolling. So maybe we can find out the details of, what's it called again, Elgin Historical Show, right?
You'd probably want your tent for that because it's an outdoor event, but
Hmm.
I'll definitely be happy to help with Elmer Fair.
Okay.
I've only missed one in the last 70 years, so
All right. And Wendy,
The historical, how many days is it for, Dominique?
It's showing 11 to 13, so I don't,
Is the fair?
and both, the dates are exactly the same. For the fair and the historical show.
I don't mind helping with one or the other.
Mhm.
I wonder if we could take a condensed version to the historical show and maybe have some props that are historically relevant to the area or something.
Mhm. Okay, well, what I'm hearing is that there's interest in both. So why don't we find out the details? If there, if there's a cost, if one scenario is we could go, oh, sorry. No.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
I'm, excuse me. Might I suggest the book? For the historical,
Oh, the hands, oh.
the
yes,
hands book.
yeah,
for the
promoting the books,
historical,
for sure. Yes,
just because it correlates so lovely.
yeah,
And it's such a wonderful piece of work that
yeah.
I think it would spark interest in that demographic.
Because I could see maybe doing the historical show on the Saturday and then the fair on the Sunday, Monday. You know what I mean? Like if.
There,
if
it's,
we could
it's,
do
the fair's not on the Monday, so the fair usually starts
Oh.
on
On the Friday, you're right.
the Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Ah, okay. So maybe 11 to 13 is actually Friday to Sunday. Right, I was thinking long weekend. So we could do, what are your thoughts? If we did the Friday. When's the busiest time I'm trying to think, and we can look into that. Like which would be the busiest or we can look at splitting. If there's enough of us who are available, splitting the booth and try to do both.
So the Friday and the Saturday, there's the Friday is the Holstein show,
Right.
Saturday is the 4-H show. And so you have
That's
a
the busy,
number of rural
Yeah.
people.
yes. And maybe the Sunday at the historical show might be most conducive. Yeah, that sounds like a good scenario. Yeah, because I think it was pretty quiet on the Sunday at the fair.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that. I was there for the
Yeah.
other.
I was there for the Sunday
Yeah,
and we interacted with a lot of people, but Curie was there doing glitter tattoos, so they
yeah.
occupied the children while I talked to the parents. But I
Okay.
think I'm trying to remember what time we were finished.
Mhm.
Maybe 3 or 4 we were done by.
Right, and it's very weather dependent too, in terms of the level of activity. Okay, well, we'll get the information even in terms of availability and costs. And by email, we can confirm availability. And maybe we do both. Like we could split the kit and because Elmer doesn't need the tent. So the canopy, so that means we can use the canopy for the other one. So there's a possibility of maybe trying to do both. Nice. Okay, so for sure, anything else that are for sure that we should be booking now? So there's a watermelon fest in Stratfordville at the end of August 26th. Which is the same weekend as the Shedden Fair. Any thoughts on that?
Wendy.
Oh, sorry, Wendy?
I don't mind doing the Watermelon Fest. I spoke for a booth there, just asking if we got the last one. So I certainly don't mind just sitting there at the booth and doing that, but I don't really, I mean, I can function without the tent if you need that at the Shedden Fair.
I
Yeah,
believe we were inside of the Shed Fair last.
No.
year.
no, we were outside.
We're
Yeah.
we're inside.
Yep, we're definitely outside.
We're inside the wall.
Yeah, I would recommend just one, like
Mhm.
one or
I
the
was
other.
gonna say, the Shedden Fair last year was not busy at all.
No.
No,
Like, I mean, it was painfully boring because it was so slow. So I don't know, I've never been to the Shed and Fair before. I don't know if that's typical of the Shed and Fair, but it didn't feel, for me, on the Sunday, there weren't very many people.
I think it's a little bit further and
Yep.
that's the further west of what we've experienced. It's then, because the county has other homes. It does become a
Yes.
little,
I was there on a
More
Saturday, I
challenging.
think Jeanette and I went, and
Yeah.
a lot of people just basically walked by. And,
Yeah. yeah, the Shen one was a little bit, it was their first year, like, coming back and they had decided at the last minute. So they didn't have a lot of events and stuff. So perhaps this year will be a more happening event, but I would be interested, I think, in the Stratfordville, a little
I
bit
think-
closer.
I agree. I
to
think it
Terrace
makes-
Lodge.
Closer to the Terrace Lodge.
It
Yeah.
makes more sense.
Yeah.
'Cause as I keep reporting the further away
Yeah.
down to the west end, it becomes a little more,
Yeah.
because I hear, well, we have a county home.
Yes.
But you do know how it works.
Yeah.
So I do, it does give an opportunity to explain how, when people are looking for care, how they have to put their name and they
Yeah.
choose their, and so this might be a home on your list and.
Yeah.
So, lots of people don't know that because they're not there yet.
Yeah.
Or they haven't had a family member there yet, so.
Yeah.
We get to educate a little bit too.
So I would say based on our earlier conversation, I would not recommend we sign up for anything else, at least for the summer. And we can, if we have one more meeting this summer, we can always decide if we want to do additional events. And, for more of the fall fairs or September, October. So for now, we'll investigate and potentially register for Elmer Fair, the Elgin Historical Show, and the Watermelon. Yes.
And I just, because I attend a lot of Optimist events,
Mm,
I will happily put, the information, and I'm around, so if people have
Yeah.
questions, I will happily share that. It will be no cost because it's an Optimist event that I'm attending. It will be no cost, and you never know who the right person with the information in their hands is, so.
Yes,
I would happily do that because we have a number of events coming up between now and Christmas, so.
yeah,
Where it would give us some opportunity, plus, there's some other events that are
Yeah.
on my way, so.
great.
And optimists are always looking for places to give money.
Yes. Well, we're happy to be at the other end of that search. And that quest.
We seem to be able to spend it on the kids in the community pretty well.
Okay, so I think that settles the.
Wendy has a question.
Oh, sorry, Wendy. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think there's going to be a beach fest. I am sorry, a beach fest in August at Port Burwell. And I was going to use, they're still planning it. I've been in contact with them, but they haven't gotten to the point where they've decided how they're doing it. But there's a meeting tomorrow night. But they're going to, I was thinking that the LCBO sometimes lets people stand out front of the LCBO, which is a popular place like for Port Burwell, like a center on the main strip. So it's a good location, I should say, not that it's popular, but it's. And
That gets in a minute.
I didn't mean it that way, but I'm sorry. But I thought if I could write to them, if they would allow us to maybe put a little table there during Beach Fest. And then at that point, maybe we could partner with the people in town to let us round off if they were willing to do that all in that one time. But I'll have more details once they have this meeting tomorrow night. So it's just August is all I have right now. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, let us know, and then we'll, depending on the date, then we'll see if we have to circulate something by email to decide, or if we can wait till our next meeting. Good. Yeah, it's good to try the different events from last year, so good idea. Okay, yeah, I'm really going in all over the agenda. So the thank you cards we talked about, I think, right? And the letter, and so there's no resolution needed for 7.1 or 7.2. Letter for return donors we've talked about. And then 8.2 was other options. I was wondering if the committee wanted to consider, because this would be the time to decide if we want to do an auction. We've talked about an online auction, and the Springfield Swans have said that if we want to do that, they will help us in terms of setting it up and doing the sort of electronic part of and tell us how, and basically coach us on how it works. But it would be run by us in terms of collecting items. And is that something that the committee is interested in doing perhaps this fall? I don't know of any grants right now. We talked about, we need to loop back just with the community foundations that typically are kind of end of summer. So that's on my list, just to double check the dates. And typically we have worked with staff to, when it comes to a grant application, to provide the information that's typically needed for the grant. And then the other thing to consider is whether we would want to do an event. So last year, the warden had organized the Warden Gala, I guess, that had the release of the book with the art auction, but also different sponsors and donors, and so a bit of an event. So it is something that, so there's nothing planned that would be fully dedicated to Terrace Lodge fundraising. So for today, I was just wanting to gauge your interests, and if you think there's interest with the committee, but also in the community, of having some sort of banquet or some sort of dinner that we could gauge. Because I want to ask the committee first, so what you think strategically is best, and then our immediate next question after the meeting would be to meet with staff just to see what the capacity and the feasibility even is, and then coming back to the committee, decided yes or no, and moving forward from there. So thoughts on an event specifically dedicated to Terrace Lodge? Done.
So I'm very new.
Yes.
Big caveat.
Welcome, by the way. I didn't even do an official welcome.
Thank you.
What I was thinking is that you mentioned the Optimist Club a couple of different times tonight, and I'm wondering whether the Optimist or another service club might be interested in taking on some event on behalf of our group. So if you got somebody like the Optimist to stand behind something like a number of the events you just talked about,
yeah.
like the charity auction or so on.
Yes.
They've already got people in place. They've already got a network in place. And I think it could leverage a lot of the time. I think you've rightly pointed out, there's always an opportunity cost. When you go to 4 hours on an event, that's 4 hours you're not doing something else. So if we could find a way to broaden the network
Mhm.
and look for the charity, I think that's really worthwhile. I'll also tell you that I know that we have a number of stretched staff right now. So I'm just, I'm just trying to find a way we could provide support, but we also get some other people to the table to help support the cause. So
Yeah.
My caveat, but I think that would be a really good way to get the community more engaged and
Yeah. And making the most of everybody's skill sets and yes. Jamie.
I have partnered with the Optimists in the past for a hair and fashion show, and they put the upfront money up to pay for the facility initially, and then through the funds, we paid it back. But all the profits from the event we were allowed to keep them. And I do have someone that would probably do the auctioning for us if we wanted a live auction.
So it's whether it's an auction or a banquet or a dinner or, so we're
You
talking
could
about
combine the dinner and the auction
Auction, for sure.
together.
for sure.
And then you get the double whammy, right? You get the people there, they're paying for their dinner and they invest money in the auction.
Right. So my question to the committee is whether we want to proactively pursue an event. Like if we decide we want an event and then it becomes a matter of approaching specifically different clubs and different organizations with whom we could partner. As you know, from previous discussions, currently we have a bit of a passive invitation to all service clubs to say, if you're already doing something, you can designate your funds and your proceeds like the Springfield Swans did, where we end up helping out, selling tickets, volunteering at, we prepare food or do whatever's needed. So that's been sent as a sort of broad invitation. And that, of course, can continue. So for today, I wanted to know if, in addition to that, we want to take a proactive approach. We really want an event to kind of have a boost in, like we know an event can probably on average, it should be around 15,000, like after expenses and such. But we have to partner and we have to put in the time from the committee. So is that something you feel is important that we should pursue for this year? So we'd have to act pretty quickly.
I think we have to look at the various options that might be there.
Is an event important, I guess, is the question, or do we kind of continue? Sorry, Emerald, did you want to, or, and then.
Yeah, I was just thinking, and we've talked about the service club, so we aren't allowed to do an auction, but, or a raffle, but they can. And I'm wondering if we approach, because raffle box it's easy to do, it's not difficult. We're just doing one through our home school.
Mhm.
And if we could find a service club that would be willing to do that for us, that is just, it's 100% online, and it just means we get on there and we update and post on the daily so that it stays in people's minds and they buy the tickets. It's just maybe something else to throw out there, because we are doing that through home and school, school where I work. So, and one individual on home and school planned it. She said it's better work, but it was, she didn't do much. She didn't think so hard.
And so was a raffle or an auction?
No, it's online 50/50.
Oh, 50/50.
And it was just set for a period of time, and then you just update, well, the prize is at this, the prize is at that, and that's, and even for your socials, that's so easy to do, right?
Right.
On the county socials, because you can set up time, you just set it up so it pops up there every Monday or whatever.
Right. So we'd have to pursue, another organization.
It's just throwing something out there that, I know we haven't done it, and we can't do a 50/50, but if we could find a partner that would be willing, and then we could support them in that.
Promoting it.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that sound, Sarah?
That sounds good. My question is for like an event that's big, like a banquet or a in-person auction. Is that something that is historically expected of this campaign? Or is it just been one-off kind of a thing?
Yeah, I think it's been just on opportunity. And I mean, the first year of the campaign, there were no in-person events. In the last year, so last year it was more of an opportunity. The book was coming out and it's and people, it was the first in-person event. There was a bit of momentum because everything else the year before had been canceled. So even the regular sponsors from the golf tournament, for example, had been kind of on standby. So there was, and the warden had chosen not to do a golf tournament. So the staff's effort was redirected towards that. So no, there is nothing expected. It's really up to the committee. So yeah, now that we're back in person, I just noticed that a number of organizations out there who are, organizing those, banquets, and that's why I wanted to check with the committee to see if that was something you wanted to do. So I think if we continue for now to approach the clubs that we know, and propose options, either organizing an event, it could be a dinner and, roast beef dinner, an in-person event with an auction, or it could be a 50-50. But I think that the key takeaway as far as organizing any other strategies is definitely through partnerships. So we're back to taking that 4 hours to making those phone calls. Okay. Any other business then? Yes.
Just a question. We talked the last time about how the construction was coming as far as more residents being able to move into the new part. I just wondered how that was coming.
Michelle or Ashley, do you want to give us a quick update?
Sure. Well, I'm really excited to share that phase 1 of our project is complete. And so our move day into the addition was on Monday, May 29th. And it was a very well organized day and lots of smiles and just the residents and families are so very pleased to get into that new space. So again, that's 60 residents were able to move into that new space on May 29th. We continue to adjust to our new space, which is natural and normal, and but the feedback is very, very positive. So very pleased to be starting our second phase of our project now.
Wonderful. Thank you for asking so that we could share this great news. And that's, again, something we can add in our conversations with donors, that it's happening. It's real now. There's actual residents living in the new section. So that's fantastic. Thank you. Okay. We ready to move into closed session? Wendy, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wondered also was it June? I thought this month was going to be the elder abuse month. Is that accurate? I know we brought it up last time and I just wondered if there's anything that we can be a part of.
Yeah, I think as far as the county is concerned, we have the flag raising tomorrow. So other than that, it was a bit of to me anyway, it was a bit of a stretch to find the comforts of home and trying to combine that with elder abuse prevention and yeah. So it is a month-long, I guess, event. So if you have any, or anyone has any suggestions how we can sort of cross promote and following, because there will be, I'm sure, some photos and following the flag raising tomorrow. So we can sort of piggyback on that. But there was nothing obvious that was sort of jumping out as a sort of cross promotional opportunity there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just to add to that, it is Seniors Month and their theme is working for seniors for this month. So we could make the connection.
Okay.
Tanya's away for the past week or so, but we can tap her on the shoulder to see if there's any opportunities there to pull that together. Or some thoughts anyway for
yeah,
those two themes together. Yeah.
Because even combining what we said at the beginning in terms of the progress, and doing, media posts on, the progress of the campaign, just tying that
Into
into
working for
seniors,
seniors,
working
yeah.
for seniors. Yeah,
Excellent. That'd be great.
yeah, okay, that I think we can do. Wonderful.
And I think you go a long way when you're using social media to get the word out there and get it present in people's minds too, when you're connecting those two things.
Okay.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, please, Wendy, go ahead.
I wondered, is it possible to update the loop, or would it be excessive work just to include the people in the in Terrace Lodge, the residents now enjoying their space?
Oh, yes. Michelle, do you think we can have new pictures?
Probably soon. We're just looking to work, we're working with the ministry on some communications, so we'll need to have that piece first, but then we can certainly do some communications after that.
Right, because the loop that we use in the booth has the sneak peek, so it is empty. But yes, if we can have an updated either photos or video, and even without residents, but if just an update on what it looks like now, because if I recall from the sneak peek video, the rooms are empty. And so now that we could have a quick sample of what it looks like furnished and
Absolutely,
moved in.
for sure.
Fantastic. Okay. Okay. Any other business? So may I have a mover and seconder then to move into closed session? Jamie, Jim, all in favor? That's carried.
At the door.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we are back out of closed session. Can I have a mover and seconder to rise and report? Jamie, Amaryllis, all in favor? And that's carried. Jenna, do you have a resolution for the report?
Be it resolved that the confidential donor outreach update be received for information.
Thank you. Mover and seconder? Sarah? Jamie? All in favor? And that's carried. Next meeting. Do we want to meet in July, just before the August events and perhaps some final decisions about any kind of event or partnership? What does 1 month from now look like?
17.
The 10th is 4 weeks is the 10th.
Does that work for everybody? July 10th at 4:30? Sounds good. Okay. Again, thank you for a longer discussion. There's lots going on. We're definitely picking up some momentum now, so thank you. And if there's nothing else, I'll take a mover and seconder for the adjournment, please. Sarah, Jim, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle and Ashley. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dawn.
Can we exit out?